Have you ever trusted someone completely, only to realize later that they were quietly studying you? Not to understand you, but to use you? Let me ask you something uncomfortable. What if the most dangerous people in your life are not aggressive, not loud, not openly toxic, but emotionally intelligent? Today on Mindora Zone, we are going deep into human behavior, social psychology, emotional manipulation, and what many people now call dark psychology. And I want to show you 3 behaviors that, according to the cold, strategic mindset inspired by Machiavellian psychology, should immediately make you slow down your trust. Not because these people are evil, but because they understand power inside human emotions, and power when hidden is far more dangerous. Stay with me until the end, because the third one is the most misunderstood, and the one that destroys people from the inside. Before we begin, a short truth. This video is not about hating people, it is about seeing clearly. Psychology teaches us one brutal rule. The person who understands emotions, but does not respect them, can control them. That is the foundation of dark social influence. Now, let's begin. Sign 1. They collect your weaknesses, but never reveal their own. At first, they seem like the perfect listener. They ask deep questions. They remember small details about your past. They know exactly when you were hurt, exactly who disappointed you, exactly what you fear losing. You feel understood. You feel emotionally safe. You feel finally seen. But here is the psychological danger. The emotional exchange is not equal. You open up. They remain blurry. You expose emotional patterns. They expose opinions. You share pain. They share stories that never truly reveal vulnerability. In social psychology, trust grows through mutual risk. But with this person, the risk is one-sided. They gather emotional data. Not emotionally, strategically. Machiavellian personality traits are marked by one silent behavior. They treat emotional information as leverage. They do not comfort you to connect with you. They comfort you to map you. Your insecurity becomes predictable. Your triggers become predictable. Your reactions become predictable. And predictability is power. Later, when conflict appears, they suddenly know exactly where to press, exactly which words make you defensive, exactly which fear makes you comply, exactly which guilt makes you stay silent. Here is the frightening part. They don't need to threaten you. They only need to remind you of what you once confessed. A healthy person protects your vulnerability. A manipulative personality stores it. If someone always knows everything about you, but you still feel like you don't truly know them, that is not mystery. That is control positioning. Cited 2. They rewrite reality when they are wrong. Pay close attention to this one, because this behavior destroys mental stability. A person you should never blindly trust is someone who cannot psychologically afford to be wrong, but instead of admitting it, they bend reality. Let me show you how it happens. You confront them calmly. You remember clearly what they said. You remember clearly what they promised. You remember clearly how they behaved. But suddenly, they say, "You misunderstood. That's not what I meant. You're being too emotional. You always take things the wrong way." At first, you try to explain. Then you start doubting your memory. Then you start questioning your emotional reactions. Then you start wondering, maybe I really am too sensitive. This is not communication. This is perception manipulation. In emotional psychology, the mind relies on external confirmation to validate internal experience. When someone repeatedly invalidates your reality, your nervous system slowly loses confidence. This creates emotional dependency, and emotionally dependent people become easier to guide, easier to pressure, easier to influence. Machiavellian psychology understands one brutal truth. If you control how a person interprets events, you indirectly control how they respond to life. Notice the pattern. They never say, "I was wrong." They say, "You're wrong for seeing it that way." They never take responsibility. They transfer confusion, and confusion weakens boundaries. Healthy people argue, manipulative people destabilize. And the most dangerous part? They often sound calm while doing it. Not emotional, not aggressive, rational, cold, almost caring. That calmness disarms your defenses, because your brain associates emotional danger with loud conflict, not silent psychological erosion. Never trust someone who makes you doubt your own emotional perception more than their behavior. Sign 3. They reward you emotionally only when you behave the way they want. This is the most powerful one. And the most invisible. At first they give warmth, attention, validation, affection, respect. You feel important. You feel chosen. You feel appreciated. But slowly, very slowly, that emotional supply becomes conditional. When you agree with them, warmth. When you support their decisions, closer connection. When you adapt to their emotional needs, peace. But the moment you resist, the warmth disappears. The tone changes. The emotional distance appears. The silence grows. No explanation. No direct punishment. Just emotional withdrawal. Your nervous system reacts instantly because the human brain is wired to avoid emotional rejection. This is behavioral conditioning, not love, not friendship, not loyalty. In social psychology, this is known as intermittent reinforcement, the same mechanism used in addictive systems. The unpredictability strengthens attachment. You start adjusting your behavior, not because they demanded it, but because your body learned what brings emotional safety. Machiavellian influence operates best when the other person believes they are choosing freely, but their emotional environment is quietly engineered. The most dangerous manipulators do not command. They shape emotional consequences. They make you train yourself. You become more careful with words, more cautious with opinions, more eager to keep emotional harmony, until one day, you realize you are managing their emotional reactions more than your own authenticity. This is how emotional control looks in modern relationships, not dominance. Design. Never trust someone whose affection increases when you submit and disappears when you stand still. Why Machiavellian psychology focuses on these three behaviors? Because power does not begin with force. It begins with emotional architecture. Who speaks? Who stays silent? Who doubts themselves? Who waits for validation? And who never needs it? Machiavellian thinking is not about cruelty. It is about leverage. Leverage inside human emotions. Leverage inside perception. Leverage inside attachment. These three signs reveal one common trait. The person is not relating to you. They are managing you. Now listen carefully because this part matters. Here is the most important psychological mistake people make. They try to detect manipulators by searching for bad intentions. But psychology shows something far more dangerous. Many manipulators genuinely believe they are justified. They believe people are tools. They believe emotions are obstacles. They believe influence is intelligence. So do not wait for obvious harm. Watch patterns, consistency, emotional consequences. Trust is not about how someone treats you when everything is going well. Trust is revealed when they have emotional power over you, when they are wrong, when you stop adapting, and now, the most powerful protection. This is where dark psychology ends, and emotional mastery begins. The strongest defense is not suspicion. It is emotional independence. When your emotional stability does not depend on someone's validation, their influence weakens automatically. When you are not afraid of emotional distance, conditional affection loses its grip. When you trust your perception calmly, reality distortion fails. Machiavellian psychology teaches people how to manipulate, but emotional intelligence teaches people how to remain unmovable. And the most dangerous person to control is the person who does not emotionally chase safety from others. Not everyone who shows these behaviors is evil, but anyone who repeatedly shows all three is not safe to trust deeply. Protect your emotional clarity. Protect your perception. Protect your inner authority. Because once someone controls how you feel about yourself, they no longer need to control your decisions. If this video helped you see people more clearly, make sure you like this video, subscribe to Mindora Zone, and stay with us for deeper psychology, human behavior, emotional intelligence, and real dark social dynamics. And remember, awareness is not paranoia. It is power.